Boneface, 2025, is a psychological thriller that delves into themes of trauma, guilt, and redemption through the story of Elias, a solitary man burdened by a haunting past. Set in a desolate city rife with crime and decay, the film presents a slow-burning narrative focused on Elias, a man in his mid-40s whose partial facial deformity has earned him the moniker Boneface. Isolated and emotionally scarred, he leads a life shrouded in silence, working odd jobs at a funeral home and as a street cleaner. This proximity to death further deepens his solitude as society shuns him, leaving him to navigate the abandoned streets at night. Elias's grim existence is punctuated by flashbacks that reveal a fragmentary yet disturbing history. Through brief glimpses, the audience learns of his youth in military service marred by traumatic experiences, including the devastation of a village and the chaos of gunfire. These memories manifest as nightmares and panic attacks, signs of the atrocities he witnessed and participated in during the war. The emotional scars from these events weigh heavily on him, suggesting a past defined by loss and guilt he cannot escape. Elias's mundane routine is disrupted when he encounters Milo, a homeless teenage boy who attempts to mug him with a broken bottle. Rather than retaliate, Elias chooses to defuse the situation, disarming Milo and allowing him to leave. Later, Milo reappears, following Elias closely due to his own desperate circumstances. Against his instincts, Elias decides to extend a hand, providing Milo with food. This initial act of kindness gradually forms a complicated relationship between the two, drawing Elias out of his shell. As their bond strengthens, the narrative transitions to explore the darker aspects of the city's underbelly. Milo is entangled with a local gang led by the sadistic Rix, who exploits vulnerable street children for drugs and power. Observing the echoes of his younger self in Milo, Elias instinctively feels the need to protect the boy not only from physical harm but also from the moral depravity surrounding him. This developing friendship compels Elias to confront his own emotional barriers. He begins to open up, engage in communication, and revisit painful memories, including letters left unwritten and visits to the grave of Sophia, a lost love victim of a past bombing. Her death represents the deepest core of his guilt, exacerbating his belief that he is unworthy of forgiveness and connection. Through his relationship with Milo, Elias embarks on a gradual journey toward redemption, inching closer to the possibility of healing and emotional acceptance amidst his tormented past. In Boneface, the narrative centers around Elias, a deeply troubled man burdened by guilt from his past actions during the war, primarily a massacre he led against civilians. His journey intertwines with that of Milo, a young boy who has found a protector in Elias amidst escalating confrontations with Rix, a violent gang leader. As Elias re-engages with violence, his war-honed skills resurface, portraying him as a figure who is not a hero but rather a tortured soul seeking redemption through acts of self-punishment. A significant moment occurs when Elias takes Milo to the remnants of his childhood home, which was burned down, symbolizing his lost family driven away by shame and fear. As he recounts his traumatic experiences to Milo, who has never known a family, the emotional connection between them deepens. Elias acknowledges his past actions in war, sharing the pain of his unhealed bullet wound, both physical and psychological, representing the scars of his guilt. The climax unfolds when Rix captures Milo, using him as bait to lure Elias to a final showdown in an abandoned warehouse reminiscent of a war zone. Employing guerrilla tactics, Elias systematically takes out Rix's gang, sustaining injuries as he fights. Ultimately, the confrontation culminates in Elias killing Rix, not out of a desire for revenge but as a means to break the cycle of abuse perpetuated by Rix. Though bleeding and exhausted, Elias finds Milo alive but chained and quickly frees him. They make their way out together into the dawn, a significant visual emblem of hope as the sky clears for the first time in the film. Unfortunately, Elias collapses due to his wounds, leading to a moment of vulnerability where Milo carries him to safety with the assistance of a kind stranger. In the hospital, Elias experiences a state of consciousness that oscillates between dreaming of Sophia, memories of war, and visions of peace. The film closes on a quiet note with Elias seen walking through a forest, leaving the city behind. He stops at a small cabin, lights a fire, and writes a letter addressed to Milo declaring, "You gave me back my name." This note signifies the transformation Elias experiences throughout the film. The narrative not only illustrates the themes of violence and redemption but also serves as a profound character study of the emotional scars carried by individuals like Elias, who transition from being known as Boneface, a ghost of the city, to reclaiming their identity as Elias, a man capable of change. The cinematography of Boneface effectively enhances the film's dark narrative, characterized by a prevailing use of cold color palettes that engulf the city scenes. In stark contrast, warm lighting is selectively utilized during flashbacks and the forest scene near the film's conclusion. The minimalistic score is frequently overshadowed by ambient sounds, wind, water, and footsteps, creating a sense of stark realism where silence carries profound weight in Elias's tumultuous existence. The film serves as a critique of multiple societal issues such as toxic masculinity, the neglect of veterans by institutional systems, and the exploitation of at-risk youth. The parallel journeys of Milo and Elias underscore their shared plight as victims of societal forces that have cast them aside. However, through their emerging bond, there is a fragile glimmer of hope that even deeply flawed individuals retain the capacity for goodness. Boneface presents a hauntingly intimate glimpse into the life of Elias, a man grappling to reclaim his humanity amidst pervasive despair. The film's methodical pacing and poetic restraint compel viewers to confront discomfort and ponder a poignant question: can a man who has traversed the depths of hell ultimately find his path back home? The film opens with Elias navigating an empty city street, his disfigured visage hidden beneath a hood embodying a figure defined by hardship. Marked as bone-faced by the locals, he exists on the periphery of society, undertaking menial janitorial duties at a funeral home during the day and roaming the city's desolate outskirts at night, deliberately avoiding social interaction as if wishing to vanish into thin air. At the funeral home, Elias performs his tasks with mechanical precision, casting occasional glances at the deceased. One young man's lifeless face particularly haunts him, triggering a fleeting memory of a traumatic past filled with a screaming child, fire, and a collapsing structure. Abruptly brought back to reality by his supervisor's sharp commands, he represses the memories and resumes his work in silence. In a tense encounter later, a teenager attempts to rob Elias with a shard of glass. Elias disarms the boy without resorting to violence and walks away, but the teenager Milo remains intrigued rather than frightened. As Milo persistently follows Elias, their relationship begins to develop through small gestures, such as Elias offering him leftover food, marking the start of an unspoken connection. Milo eventually divulges more about his background, revealing his homelessness, familial abandonment, and affiliation with a street gang operated by the manipulative Ricks. Despite Elias's warnings to steer clear of that dangerous world, Milo's need for survival persists, demonstrating the harsh realities both men face in their quest for meaning and connection. Elias begins to experience haunting nightmares, once again leaving him unsettled and drenched in sweat each night. His dreams are filled with the chaos of war, echoes of gunfire, flames enveloping everything, the piercing scream of a child, and a woman calling his name. Each time he awakens, panic grips him. He stares into the mirror, silently coming to terms with his guilt, which lingers without a complete understanding of its root cause. In the days that follow, Milo returns to Elias visibly bruised and bloodied. It becomes apparent that Ricks has discovered Milo's contact with someone outside their crew, and as Elias quietly tends to Milo's wounds, he feels a growing obligation towards the boy. Milo spends the night on a worn-out couch, and for the first time Elias is free from the torment of dreams. As their bond deepens, Milo starts to confide in Elias and expresses curiosity about the scars that mark his skin. Elias, however, dodges the inquiry, leading them to a significant location, a ruined house on the outskirts of the city that was once Elias's childhood home. The site, now abandoned and consumed by flames, evokes a sense of loss. Standing before a charred wall, Elias chooses silence, allowing Milo to understand the depth of his pain without words. The shared experience brings them closer, their understanding transcending spoken language. After a brief period, Milo mysteriously vanishes for 2 days, prompting Elias to search fervently for him at various shelters and soup kitchens, growing increasingly worried. Eventually, he discovers Milo unconscious in a decrepit warehouse, evidently suffering from the repercussions of Ricks's brutal punishment. Elias carries the boy home, refusing to leave his side as he watches over him through the night, seeking to protect him as best as he can. Determined to improve Milo's situation, Elias tries to enroll him in a youth program that could provide a fresh start. However, the administrator requests identification, presenting another obstacle in their precarious lives. Elias finds himself at a crossroads, feeling the pressure of not just caring for Milo but also navigating the challenges of their reality. Their relationship is cemented by shared trauma and unspoken resilience as Elias grapples with his own past while striving to create a safer future for the vulnerable boy now in his care. The narrative unfolds against the backdrop of their struggles, showcasing a journey intertwined with hope, pain, and the complexities of human connection amid strife. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.